Cold email deliverability is one of the most important things in cold email to get results. If you land in spam, you don't get results. If you land in the inbox, you get results. Just so obvious, right? So writing great copy, building a great lead list doesn't help you if you're in the spam folder. And in this video, I cover everything you need to know to avoid spam filters and land in the inbox and get results with cold email. So let's jump into this video. There are three things that matter most for good deliverability. One is infrastructure, the other one is warm-up and sending behavior, and then the last one is copywriting. And I go through all of these in this video, and all of these matter as much as the other ones, right? So the first part is infrastructure. So basically our email infrastructure. And this is pretty much a solved problem in 2026. You don't need to set this up yourself anymore. There are providers that are extremely good, like Zapmail, Porkbun, and so on, that help you set up the infrastructure. So there are four types of inboxes that can be used. You have Gmail, Outlook, Azure, and then private SMTP servers. I personally only use those two and get great results with it. I know a lot of people swear on Azure inboxes to land into Outlook and Microsoft inboxes, but that's for another video. So yeah, Google and Outlook will do the job. The next part is the how to set up the infrastructure in Zapmail. And we go into Zapmail in a second and I show you exactly how to do it. But maybe before we set up the infrastructure, let's talk about how many inboxes do you need. And that's a question that's important to ask yourself before you set up anything. So let's run the math on this a little bit. So you want to know how many people are in your market. So how many contacts can we contact in your market? And let's say it's 10,000 people. This gives us a good answer because usually the rule of thumb is you can recontact every person in your TAM every 2 months. So that means per month we contact 5,000 people, right? And then the next question we need to ask is how many follow-up emails, how many emails do we send per contact? Let's say we send a 3-step sequence, meaning we send around 15,000 emails per month. If we know we want to send 15,000 emails per month, we can divide this now by the sending days per month, meaning we send 20 days per month. So we want to send 750 emails per day. To send 750 emails per day, we send 20 emails per inbox. So we need 37 inboxes to send this volume. If it's more, we need more, right? It's simple as that. So let's go into Zapmail and let me show you how to set up 37 inboxes really easily. So this is the Zapmail dashboard. You can see it here. That's how it looks like. And there are 2 tabs that are relevant for us right now. You can ignore all the other ones, which is domains and mailboxes. First thing we need to do when you sign up to Zapmail is you need to buy domains. And then how many domains do we need? We want to set up 3 inboxes per domain. So if we divide this by 3, that gives us the number of domains we need. We need 12 domains in this case. So you simply go in here, go to add domains, and then buy new domains. And you can put in a keyword, for example, here that's close to your brand. So let's do mine. Mine is Cold Torch. And then the AI finder helps you find those inboxes and automatically puts them into your in your chart, and you can just buy them. I don't, it just has to be something similar to your brand. You don't have to go too crazy on it. Now you have your domains, and the next part is you go to mailboxes. That's where they automatically set up all your mailboxes for you, which is super helpful. They do this for Google and Microsoft. So also pretty straightforward. You have your domains. You go to assign domains. I already used all mine, and then you can basically add a name, last name. You can even add a profile picture. And then once all is done is you export it to Instantly. And yeah, we covered this, but just to wrap up, basic sending volume rules, 3 inboxes per domain, and a maximum 20 emails per inbox per day. For Asia and SMTP, it's differently. How it works there is you send a lot of inboxes up per domain, something like 100, and then send less emails per inbox. But that's for another video. So basic sending basic sending volume rules are covered. So let's talk a bit about the warm-up phase. So you want to run the warm-up for 3 weeks. What is the warm-up? So now that we set up our inboxes, we import them to Instantly. So let's go over here. Now we have our mailboxes in here, and you want to press this little flame to start the warm-up. Warm-up is basically a pool of a lot of inboxes that send emails to each other and simulate human behavior, so it helps us avoid these spam filters. There's one setting not a lot of people talk about you want to do once you start sending. So if you go into the settings here, once your inboxes are warmed up after 21 days, you want to go to settings and then to reply rate. And you're gonna do this once you start sending emails from your campaigns and make this 70 to 80%. Reason is we start sending more emails, so we want to simulate we get more replies, so it's not odd. Simple as that. Next one, let's talk a bit about advanced deliverability settings in Instantly, and that's mainly on the campaign level. So let's open a campaign here. You go to options, and then first thing we want to enable is provider matching. So we set up Google and Microsoft inboxes. Now we want Google to only send to Google and Microsoft only to send to Microsoft. And you can do this in the settings here, and it's around here. Yeah, enable provider matching for deliverability boost. Simply enable this, and then it's done. It's really straightforward. Not a really important part I recommend using is limit emails per company. So you don't want to send more than 2 to 3 emails to the same company per day. It's not good for your domain health if you send 50 emails to the same company in one day. Kind of spammy, you know. So you want to avoid that. And then, yeah, we talked about the daily sending limits, so no more than 20 emails per inbox. And then reply detection. Also, when someone replies, you want to stop the follow-ups. Instantly does this automatically, but what I recommend also enabling is that you stop follow-ups to the same company. It's just a bit awkward if you send someone an email from the company, they already reply interested, and then you send an email again to someone else at the company, and then yeah, doesn't look that good. So let's talk about copywriting. And as I mentioned before, what we want to do is we want to avoid looking like a spammer, meaning if you send spammy copy, you land in a spam folder. It's just super simple and straightforward. So let's avoid this. And how can we avoid this? So there's this great tool from MailMajor that I still use to this day for almost all my emails. When I write a cold email, I put it in there and let the spam checker run, and then I just go through it and try to avoid those spammy words. So you just go through it and rewrite the copy until it's not that spammy anymore. And I know sometimes it's hard to avoid this. Maybe you need to drop these 5% or whatever in the copy, but try to get a good score at least, and it will help tremendously not letting in spam. The next part is for copywriting is spin text. So what is spin text? Spin text, as you can see, we have this variable here. Basically what it does, it randomizes between those 3 words and either sends hi, hey, or hello. Same for this copy here. There are 3 different variations, and then it randomizes between those 3 for each email sent. Reason we do this is it just sends different copy every time, slightly different. There's one reason why I'm not a super big fan of it, because if you run split tests for your copy, this can screw the split test a bit because you send different copy with every email. So what I recommend doing is you still use it, and then if you want to test the CTA, don't use it on the CTA. Have like fixed text there, and it still gives you like good data. And then the last part is personalization. I'm a generally big fan of AI personalization if done right. And it also has a different use case than just making it more personalized and make it feel like we research the prospect. It changes parts of the copy and then has the same effect Spintax has, because we have different copy in there, right? And it, yeah, looks less spammy if we send different things to different people as if we send the same thing every time. And yeah, that's it pretty much. Quick wrap up. 3 things that matter most: the infrastructure, which is solved thanks to Zapmail and other providers, the warm-up settings and the sending behavior, and then all our copy we send, super important. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching.